Welcome back to Bible Quizzes. We have 35 questions for you today on the book of Genesis. Now remember, you have 10 seconds for each question. Let's get started. Question 1. What was hovering over the waters when the earth was still formless and empty? Spirit of God, Son of God, or blood of God? Spirit of God. Genesis 1:2. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. 2. Where did God put the tree of life in the Garden of Eden? The middle, side, or front? Middle. Genesis 2:9. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. 3. What did God make to separate water from under and above the sky? Vault, land, or mountain? Vault. Genesis 1:7. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it, and it was so. 4. What is the name of the first river which winds through the entire land of Havilah, containing gold? Pishon, Gihon, or Tigris? Pishon. Genesis 2:11. The name of the first is the Pishon. It winds through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. 5. What kind of animal was more crafty than any other animals created by God? Serpent, lion, or elephant? Serpent. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? 6. Who became the mother of all the living? Mary, Sarah, or Eve? Eve. Genesis 3:20. Adam named his wife Eve because she would become the mother of all the living. 7. Who brought some of the fruits of the soil as offering to the Lord? Aden, Cain, or Abel? Cain. Genesis 4:3. In the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Lord. 8. What did the Lord put to Cain so that no one can kill him? Mark, shield, or sword? Mark. Genesis 4:15. But the Lord said to him, Not so, anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Then the Lord put a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would kill him. 9. Who was the son of Cain by which Cain named him after the city he was building? Enoch, Irad, or Lamech? Enoch. Genesis 4:17. Cain made love to his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Cain was then building a city, and he named it after his son Enoch. 10. What is the name of the third son of Adam that God granted in place of Abel? Seth, Abel, or Enoch? Seth. Genesis 4:25. Adam made love to his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth, saying, God has granted me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. 11. Altogether, Adam lived a total of blank years and then he died. 930, 940, or 950? 930, Genesis 5:5. Altogether, Adam lived a total of 930 years and then he died. 12. Who walked faithfully with God, then he vanished because God took him away? Enoch, Noah, or Moses? Enoch, Genesis 5:24. Enoch walked faithfully with God, then he was no more, because God took him away. 13. How old was Noah when he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth? 400, 500, or 600 years old? $500. Genesis 5:32. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. 14. The Lord blank that he made human beings on the earth, regretted, blessed, or contented. Regretted. Genesis 6:6. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. 15. Who was found to have favor in the eyes of the Lord? Noah, Abraham, or Enoch? Noah. Genesis 6:8. But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. 16. What is the name of the third river in the Garden of Eden that runs along the east side of Asher? Tigris, Euphrates, or Gihon? Tigris. Genesis 2:14. The name of the third river is the Tigris. It runs along the east side of Asher, and the fourth river is the Euphrates. 17. Adam was blank when he heard the voice of the Lord in the garden. That's why he was afraid and hid. Naked, eating the fruit, or swimming. Naked. Genesis 3:10. He answered, I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid. 18. What kind of leaf was found in the beak of the dove to determine that the water already receded from the earth? Olive, manna, or banana? Olive. Genesis 8:11. When the dove returned to him in the evening, there in its beak was a freshly plucked olive leaf. Then Noah knew that the water had receded from the earth. 19. What did Noah build for the Lord and took there some clean animals as sacrifice burnt offering on it? Ark, altar, or temple? Altar. Genesis 8:20. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and taking some of all the clean animals and clean birds, he sacrificed burnt offerings on it. 20. What served as the sign of a covenant for every living creature and for all generations to come? Rainbow, clouds, or thunderstorm? Rainbow. Genesis 9:12-13. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant I am making between me and you and every living creature with you, a covenant for all generations to come. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. 21. What is the name of the father of Shelah? Semai, Arphaxad, or Eber? Arphaxad. Genesis 10:20. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah the father of Eber. 22. That is why it was called blank, because the Lord confused the language of the whole world, Babel, scattered, or nation. Babel, Genesis 11:9. That is why it was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the whole world. From there the Lord scattered them over the face of the whole earth. 23. Who ran away from Sarai? Then the angel of the Lord told him to go back and submit to her. Hagar, Martha, or Ruth? Hagar, Genesis 16:8-9. And he said, Hagar, slave of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going? I am running away from my mistress Sarai, she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. 24. Who will be the father of 12 rulers, and God also made him into a great nation? Israel, Ishmael, or Isaac? Ishmael, Genesis 17:20. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. 25. How old was Abraham when his son Isaac was born? 99, 100, or 101? Genesis 21:5. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. 26. Who complained to Abimelech about a well of water that his servants had seized? Abraham, Jacob, or Laban? Abraham, Genesis 21:25. Then Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water that Abimelech's servants had seized. 27. Who asked Abraham what is the meaning of the 7 ewe lambs that he has set apart by themselves? Abimelech, Laban, or Moses? Abimelech, Genesis 21:29. And Abimelech asked Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs that you have set apart by themselves? 28. When Abraham built an altar, he bound his son blank and laid him on top of the wood. Isaac, Esau, or Jacob? Isaac, Genesis 22:9. When they reached the place God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar, on top of the wood. 29. What kind of animal is caught in replacement as burnt offering of Abraham instead of his son? Sheep, ram, or goat? Ram, Genesis 22:13. Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. 30. Who was the daughter of Bethuel who came out with her jar on her shoulder after she had finished praying? Rebecca, Ruth, or Sarah? Rebecca, Genesis 24:15. Before he had finished praying, Rebecca came out with her jar on her shoulder. She was taught the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, who was the wife of Abraham's brother Nahor. 31. Who among Isaac's sons was a skillful hunter in the country when he grew up? Esau, Jacob, or Ishmael? Esau, Genesis 25:27. The boys grew up, and Esau became a skillful hunter, a man of the open country, while Jacob was content to stay at home among the tents. 32. Who planted crops and at the same year reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed him? Isaac, David, or Jacob? Isaac, Genesis 26:12. Isaac planted crops in that land and the same year reaped 100-fold because the Lord blessed him. 33. How old was Esau when he got married to Judith, the daughter of Beeri and Hittite? 30, 40, or 50? 40. Genesis 26:34. When Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite. 34. Who had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth with its top reaching to heaven? Jacob, Daniel, or Joseph? 8. Jacob. Genesis 28:10, 12. Jacob left. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth with its top reaching to heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. 35. Jacob worked for 7 years in return for Laban's younger daughter and named blank: Leah, Rachel, or Rebecca. Rachel. Genesis 29:18. Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, "I'll work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter Rachel." And that's all the questions we have for today, so remember, put your score down below, then share this with your friends and family to compare your scores, and we'll see you in the next one.